Welcome to episode 7 with Elisa Romeo. Elisa is a licensed marriage and family therapist, an intuitive, a soul guide, and an author. Elisa is also a profound person in my life and on my healing journey. I've had the opportunity to work with Elisa for the past decade, and what arrived for me was her book, Meet Your Soul. It was so right on time. I had been doing deep therapeutic work in my early 30s, working with a therapist, also working with a body worker, releasing stored trauma and emotions that my body had held. My body worker had recommended Elisa and her book. It was really the missing puzzle piece, as I had excavated these old stories and cleared out energetically. I had room and spaciousness to really open my heart to a level that I had never done before, trust deeper within myself, and built a relationship with my soul. So there's so much in this conversation. Please enjoy every aspect and word that Elisa shares. Her knowledge and wisdom is so connective. She also will offer a guided meditation at the end of this conversation. I will include all of her links below in ways that you can connect with Elisa to work with her, whether it's one-on-one, upcoming retreats, or she has an incredible online soul journaling course that I cannot recommend enough. Lastly, you're going to have an opportunity to actually meet Adam Foley and their pup Lily very quickly. They were both there as we were setting up, so they say a quick hello. And then Elisa and I drop right into our soul conversation that is arriving for you right now.
Hi, everybody. This is Adam Foley, Elisa Romeo, two
Lily.
incredible, and Lily.
And
There you
Lily.
go. Now you can back
They're
out
going
a
on a
little.
walk.
Bye.
No, I can just get into it. This your daddy girl time.
And our studio looks
The
incredible.
new studio. It's us again in a different studio.
Mm-hmm. I remember our recorded live soul session
Yeah,
that you did with me.
yeah, that's still up on my
I still
channel.
watch it.
A lot of people watch it, actually.
they?
Yeah, because a lot of people tell me it brings them. A lot of people do it as prep before they soul journal to just get a line.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's when you and Adam decided to record it and have that experience of the embodiment was incredible.
I think we're always trying to figure out. I mean, my whole life is like, how do I market soul? Which is kind of a funny thing, but it's like, how do you explain and be clear and communicate the amazing potential and importance of what it is to people? Because it's just been so, I don't even know the word. I was going to say life changing, but it's just like, I can't imagine living without being in a relationship to my soul, Sophia. And it's just, it brings so much purpose and clarity. And I always say it's not like it makes all your problems go away. It's still like hard to be a human on planet Earth, but I think having connection to your why and your purpose within all of the life drama is so, for me, it's crucial. It's the difference if I'm like, what's the point of any of this? Why do I care versus being myself?
Oh, yeah. Well, it feels from the first retreat that I did with you when you were in Scottsdale. And I mean, it was, I think, all day long, or at least an afternoon that you did a group retreat with everyone. And I remember experiencing my soul, and it was very familiar.
Was that the first time we met?
That was the first time we met. And it was before I came to Bainbridge.
Okay, that's what I couldn't remember.
The other
That was
retreat.
first or
Yeah, so
second.
that was our first time.
Yeah.
And my sister actually was there with me, and we both had a profound experience. I'm so used to feeling, so it just felt very safe and home for me. And I can't speak for my sister, but I think it's just everyone has their own experience when you drop into this place within yourself and beyond yourself. And I can't remember if it was a meditation that we were doing, but when I felt her, and I remember we journaled afterwards, what came through for me was, I've been with you all the time.
Yeah.
I had flashes of my childhood
Mm.
where I didn't feel safe. And she said I was there. Of course, I get emotional talking. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so what it brought to me is that I'm not alone. And we can have our beautiful relationships with other people. And those are so important and needed and essential. But having a deeper relationship with ourselves and with our soul gave me such a sense of really what you articulated. We're not alone.
We're not alone. I'm getting so many chills as you're talking. It's going to probably be ongoing waves. But yeah, I think so. The whole thing is an interesting conversation because a lot of times people say to me, why would I talk to my soul if I am my soul? Why do I have to talk to my soul? And it comes down to there's different dimensions of us. So I always say it's like the iceberg, where the ego, who we think we are, who I think I am, is above the surface. But I am also all the material underwater that is my subconscious, my unconscious, where my dreams are from. And also, if we get spiritual, depending on how woo-woo people can handle things,
we're just being fully ourselves here,
depending on what level. Some people come in from like a, just the scientific component of it's going to help with mindfulness and center and ground, and that's great. Some people, it's like a creative writing exercise to talk to your soul, and that's great. But also, if we get in the science aspect, we're changing our brain state. We're going from beta to theta, and we're accessing the wise mind. In psychology, we call that, the observer, the wise mind. I use the word soul because to me, it's not just a section of our brain. To me, it's actually the universe you came from, the universe you're going back to of love. That is always present, witnessing, watching, orchestrating, and is a resource for love and clarity and information. So to me, the soul is the always loving, always wise part of us that knows more than the ego. So, who am I? Right now, I am Elisa, and I know things about who she is and what she likes and what she doesn't like and all of that. But then there's also a part of me, even in this moment, that is me, that I kind of have some awareness of, but also until my ego decides to partner consciously with that part of me, I don't get the full experience and benefit of. And the ego is set up to have the free will to choose. Do I want to choose to know that part of me, to go underwater and start to feel and understand the underwater part of the iceberg or not? And ego to me is not a bad word. It's not about killing. The ego is your, not your amigo, but it's more set as they say, but it's more of we do have wiring to be forgetful to that other part of us. And so and I could go into because really why I do this came out of an out-of-body experience that introduced me. I had an experience of leaving my body and seeing my body beneath me, which was quite shocking because I was raised with very analytical parents. My dad was a biochemist, my mom's a mathematician. So I was raised with this idea like, once you die, it's over, fade to black. And if you can't, prove it, it doesn't exist. And so as I was existing outside of my body, witnessing my body, it was a real shocking moment of what's real. Do I know anything? Is anything make sense that I've been programmed or trained from my culture and my family? And then I'm just like a seeker and I was hungry. So it's like, I want to know the truth, even if that's uncomfortable or scary, which it has been at times,
How old were you when this happened?
That was at grad school. I mean, so it's funny because I had definitely psychic spiritual moments growing up. I had an out-of-body experience at Montessori when I was little, but it was more meditation and like vague. This was very intense and dramatic. And so I was probably 23 or something at Pacifica Graduate Institute. And then I was sucked into, I don't know if that's a weird term, like a cloud. It felt like a cloud, like joined and meshed into this pink cloud energy. Actually, it's kind of like this. So that's ironic. Um, that just was like unconditional love. And when I went back into that bubble, it was like, oh, I remember who I was before. I was Elisa Romeo, this energy, this universe of love. And from that vantage point, any question I ever had about anything was like immediately answered. So it was also like a knowing situation of like the challenges I had with my dad or why certain things just were like immediately known to me. Like obviously, like how you know anything. Just like it wasn't even like a thought. It was just like a knowing.
It was a knowing, which is very different
Yeah.
that I can feel now versus the thought. And I think that's important to talk to because some people were different experiences from being someone who feels so much. And so to me, it's that knowing feels very familiar, but I tuned it out for a while. So I didn't know that was the place to actually connect to. And so the mind can really get caught up and come into all these stories. And I feel like that's where our ego lies. Am I correct with that? If the ego's more in the mind?
Yeah. And this is such a good question. Literally, Meet Your Soul, my first book, was a product of trying to figure out this question. How do we know we're not deluding ourselves? And how do we know? So my first master's thesis, the first version of the book was like, what's the difference between projection versus intuition? Because if someone's in a projection, they really think they know. They're like, I know gay people shouldn't have these rights or whatever. Like they know, but the energy.
Oh, you can feel it's a very
connected or love, but it's so it's kind of this epistemology of looking at or just like how do we know anything? So breaking down. So I really wanted to look psychologically at what is a projection when we're in that, and then wrong versus something that's eternal and true. And so but it's kind of hard to explain once you've experienced it because it's kind of like, how do you know love?
I think that's actually a good thing to give if you feel you're in your head a lot or if you're trying to digest what we're speaking to. Feeling love, and for me, I always close my eyes, but when you feel love, it's a knowing. It's a sensation, but it's a knowing. And so I think that's a great example to give people maybe who feel that are more in their minds or need a little bit more, I guess, for us to explain what is that like and kind of to bring that practice in, which is what I feel your soul journaling and everything with Meet Your Soul brought me to. It almost was permission to feel the all-loving self, permission to feel love and safety.
And permission to know what you know, because we're so gaslit out of our intuition because it's considered a soft, weak form of knowing as opposed to rationality, analytical modes of thought. You can't prove it, prove yourself, but it's similar to if you wake up from a dream, a nightmare, how do you know this reality is not more dominant than the other one? How do you know?
That's such a good
You're
example.
But
and you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God.
No, there's the feeling of this reality feels more something than that one. And it wasn't that you didn't experience it, but and that's what it was like when I met my soul, is it was like, I know that reality is actually more true, more real in some ways than this reality here. Even though this is also love and beautiful and set up on purpose. We're going home at the end of this board game. There's an Italian phrase that's like all the pieces of the box go back into the same box at the end of the day,
Yeah.
And a Native American saying that's like, it's good to wake up before you die. So it's like having contact with that part of ourselves. And a lot of people experience that through meditation or even drug trips. Most people can think about a time in their life they had an altered state experience that showed them more than just physical world reality as the only reality. But it's so stressful here and there's so much to do all the time. So it's really easy to not prioritize or forget or minimize that other place, just like a dream.
Yeah, it's a very valid point because I've definitely been can be in and out of practice under stressors
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
just the human condition. And whenever this arrives, I can't remember my exact age when we met. I think I was 36 and I'm 45 now. So I've been practicing this for years. And yet I still will find myself abandoning, not intentionally, but if I'm triggered or if I'm in a high stress human just experience of life, I feel it in my body. I feel overwhelmed. And typically it takes just a minute for me to get quiet and bring in breath because that helps me at least become regulated in my body. And right then is when Ellie, my soul, will come through and be like, Stacy, it's just time to connect. And it's this gentle whisper and nudge that arrives, and I'll grab my journal. And whether I do a meditation before, I'll drop into one of your guided meditations that you have on your website that I love, and Ben does them with me. And anyways, so good. And so, and then I just feel, even through the unknown of what's happening externally, okay. It's just, it's like a grounding place of that knowing that you're
Coming
speaking.
back home, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, yeah, because we get caught up. So I'm gonna move positions here as I'm sinking into the abyss of the couch. Yeah, I think it's so. I mean, I get, mom of 2 kids and high schooler and 11-year-old, and life happens, and there's always stuff going on. But I just feel better when I remember to remember. And some days we don't. That's fine. It's not definitely about judging ourselves if we forget, but I think it just feels good.
It
to come
just feels
back.
good.
Yeah.
I like you said, it's a homecoming.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay. And then you just have a different, I feel that I have a different capacity when I go forward into whatever's presenting or whatever
And
needs to be
I get
navigated.
intuitive information all the time, so it's like it's useful because it's about feeling connected, but it's literally a lot of, Sophia, what do I do about this, or this is happening, and she's as good as my questions to her, in the sense of, I always tell people, if you have a question, just ask. A lot of people are like, oh, I have to do this or this or this before I can start coming to her, and I'm always like, no, come messy, come with your issues. The point is to wrestle on the mat and to let her love you wherever you're at, and to be open to receiving that. That's like the benefit of it. So you don't have to, I think we all have this thing that's like, are we worthy of love? And I have to do something before. And it's like, nope. It's like, just now, today, can we allow the love in to heal us? It's medicine,
Deep medicine. And my life has been changed since I met you and worked with you. And I have been in deep therapy at the time and working with an incredible body worker where I was storing a lot of my just emotions and experiences. And so releasing that. And she's the one who connected me with you.
I
And
knew that. Oh, wait. Was
Dusty.
it? Oh, I didn't? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And
I was picturing somebody
she's
else.
like, Stace, yeah, there's this amazing book that my girlfriend just came out with. She's incredible. Here's the book. Let me know what you think. I read the first couple of chapters, and then you were coming to Scottsdale
Yeah.
to do your retreat. And
that would have been 2015, probably.
okay, so then I was 35.
Yeah.
And it was for me like the missing puzzle piece. Therapy was huge, to have a safe place to be heard and seen and validated, and to kind of just, I had held a lot in. So talk therapy was very supportive. I had no idea how the body holds so much. So then doing the body work was just like, oh my gosh, it was just another level of therapeutic support. And then when I met you,
You had all the
and
psyche,
the soul,
soma, spirit. You had all the, yeah.
and I was just like, oh, and it just all became so synced up. And I went from this space that felt more of like a fight or flight or just unknown or just all over the place to home within myself. And there still was plenty unknown happening outside of me and my work and my relationship. But this was like the starting place where it all came together. And then bit by bit, things became more clear. And the more I nourished my relationship with my soul and the more I committed to that practice and other therapeutic modalities, the more things became very clear to me. I felt more comfortable and I could hear my yeses a lot more. It wasn't this in between. And anyways, everything.
That's a good way of putting it, because if somebody asked you, well, why do you bother talk to your soul when you are your soul? What would you say to that? Like, what's different about soul journaling when you talk to your soul? What's different than just like meditating or something?
I feel that meditation helps quiet my mind. It helps me get present in the moment, and I love it. But when I drop in with my soul, it is an actual communication that I'm having.
Yeah.
So when I'm meditating, typically I'll be outside or I can be inside. I connect a lot with my heart and my body. And when I'm outside, I connect with a lot of nature. And there's communication that it's a knowing, but an unknowing. It's an interesting experience through that. But with the soul work and the soul journaling, it's true communication that I'm having.
Yeah.
So, as you've taught, to ask a question and then not be in the mind when an answer comes, it just gives her voice. And I feel, I know I'm communicating with my higher self, my heart knowing self, my purest form, my purest essence that's not conditioned and confused with my subconscious. It's just,
how do you know? Because this is the question people don't understand. How do you know when you're connecting? It's her.
Well, for me, it's a feeling. It's just a feeling. Now, in the second retreat I did with you, I had never seen my soul, and I'd always felt her. And I understand where you're going here. It's to help people who are tuning in, like what is that?
About?
Yeah, because it's so knowing. Like when you know so much, it's just I speak
well, and
to
it's
it.
the number one issue people have in the beginning. How do I know I'm not making it up?
That
How
it's
do
not
I know
just
this
your
is
head.
just what I want?
Yeah, and I will say, I don't know if I'm a good example. Ben, my husband, would be a good example to have him, because he's more he's very embodied, he's very grounded, but he can be more intelligently speaking from his mind. And so it would be lovely to hear kind of his articulation when he connects.
Yeah.
Like this morning on his walk.
Yeah.
He was very connected to his soul.
I love that.
Now he was sharing with me, and I actually felt his soul, and I was a witness, and Ellie was right there, and I just absorbed it. But I don't think he was aware that was his.
And that's one reason I asked that question, because I think it helps us to know what is it.
Yes.
So that we can, because we're all going to have moments of doubt and confusion.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for years, because we fly around in different vibrations throughout the day of being more or less angry and connected. And so we all have moments of faith and moments of doubt,
Yeah. And I think for Ben, as he was sharing with me, as you've done with me, when we're not just working together, but communicating, I can just feel, you just bring her right in, and it's just this natural state, and you reflect that back. So it was early on. So then I knew, because I knew the feeling, but there was more confirmation working with you, because you were able to speak to what I was feeling, but I wasn't saying it to you.
We all need that.
Yeah.
Because we've been so gasless out of it. So that's why I love doing sessions, because it's kind of like I see myself like biofeedback. I'm like, there it is.
Exactly.
That's it right there. That's it right there. When if you've ever done biofeedback, it's feedback on the screen. So you're like, oh, I felt this way. And when I feel this way, the computer is doing this every time. So you learn internally then how to navigate that. Because I never want people dependent on me for their soul. But I do think it's helpful to have validation and confirmation in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you're like, I don't know about all this stuff. Am I, just delusional? I can see it with Adam and I in our partnership, and thank God you can see it in me, because you can tell it, or even with your kids too, like when someone's speaking out here in an idea of a program belief system, or when they're centered and connected and it's coming in and it feels totally differently. And then if we can be partners to each other, to be like, there it is. That's it. That's, to me, like a real soul partnership.
Yeah. We're reflecting back to each other. And that's what I mentioned to Ben when he was sharing, just the awe and everything he was experiencing in the most beautiful way. And I did let him know, because he's still in his process
good to
of
have
meeting
reflection.
his soul and being in communication. He's still trying to understand a little bit. And I bring Ben into this because it helps for anyone that feels that they need more of a mental understanding.
Absolutely.
You know, it's on purpose that he and I found each other, because we are so different in many ways.
Yeah.
And so when I shared with him, and I was like, that was your soul just speaking. And he just kind of looked at me, and Ben didn't dismiss it. And how beautiful is that? And he just continued to smile. And I said, it's almost like you're on this natural high. And he was like, exactly. Anyways, that's just a little example. But I do know from when we first worked together and I had the feeling, and then when I was at your retreat at your home, which I'll include the video because that would be really helpful for people to be able to drop into. Elisa and her husband Adam hosted this beautiful soul retreat and recorded it. The process, it was 2 days, wasn't it?
We did it a couple times, so
that's
I'm
right.
terrible
You've done
with
the
remembering, but yeah, I think
And so you can actually see the embodiment, and you can see the experience of the meeting of soul, of each individual soul. And for you and I, when we were in it, because I remember it very vividly, it went from a feeling to the whole room and you. It was like this white. Oh, my heart. It's
go
too,
into it again.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
arrived, and I was speechless. And then I've experienced her come to me since then in the same way. And it is this, I would say, from an inner knowing and just an all knowing to I hadn't actually experienced an external presence of her, which it wasn't just like around you or around, it was the whole room. I mean, when I experience her, she is everything. And it was the most incredible thing.
Beautiful.
So I don't know if that's landing with anyone, but the video will help for people to see, because when you can witness it, I do believe seeing is believing, and that very much helps.
Well, we start to come to the edge of our ego, where it's kind of like we're in our ego, we're still identified as that, but we're kind of expanding the veil between this and that. And so it does get mystical quick. And I mean, one of Adam and I's first meetings was that, where it kind of happened in the room at the same time. And he actually went like, holy shit. Like he had like a fear reaction. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Because it's like you're on drugs. And then you're like, who dosed me? Yeah. And there's no drugs involved.
What's in my tea?
What's in the tea? And it can be shocking to the ego, because you're like, I'm used to being in control. I'm not used to feeling like I'm not,
And when you choose, let's say, to partake in drugs or whatever it is, that's a
making a
choice that
choice.
you're it's not just like, whoa.
And
It
that's
just
why I don't do drugs, because I always tell people I live there. I don't need, for me, it's 3 breaths away. Like I'm striving to stay in this reality because I've had so much, years of meditation and working to thin the veil. It's worked. And so it's like, to be a parent and show up, it's a trick sometimes, because I feel like I can just at any moment fall into that world. And even things like if I'm going a walk around the park, sometimes I wear sunglasses and headphones, because when I make eye contact with someone, I'm going right into their soul. It's not casual. It's not surface level. It's a deep, intimate experience, whether they know it or not. So I've had to learn to perform a lot of pretending that that's not happening for their egoic comfort.
Yeah.
And then I'm assessing how much their ego's ready to play and go into that other space.
So incredible.
Just like, people
and this is your life and your world and your existence. And,
Yeah.
and what I would love to speak to.
The old copy, the first copy.
This is my dog-eared copy that I've had since 2015.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm telling you, like, how much.
Did I sign the front when you came down, or no?
I don't
I
think
gotta get my energy in there. Okay. I'm glad, because I wanted to be with you there in it.
What else do I have in here? Oh, there's some gate code. That doesn't need to be in there. But yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Elisa, that's funny. I haven't opened it up to the actual
title
page for a while,
Yeah.
but so I know we're just flowing and we're just in soul conversation. But I would love to know first a little bit of your background and then what brought you after this experience that you had where you witnessed yourself and then you experienced the all-knowing self to write Meet Your Soul.
Yeah, I mean, so there's two versions of the story. There's like what my ego, thought was happening, and then there was the fact that it was soul orchestrated destiny from my soul the entire time. You know what I mean? Of like, this is why I came to the planet, to help people understand who they are, actually. And this is one form of doing it. We have Holy Love, the second book, which is more for relationships. I always say this is Meet Your Soul, this is Meet Their Soul. So this is a little more about like partnership.
But I love this book. This is the most recent book that you've written.
So it's got a lot of the tools. It builds upon the soul journaling practice.
Yeah.
And so what brought me to it is it was like an itch I had to scratch, It was like, I want to figure this out. And because I did come from an analytical family, it was like, I want to be able to say this to people who are skeptical and be clear and concise and accurate in my details about that. And also for myself, because so my background is I'm a psychotherapist. I went to Pacifica Graduate Institute, which is a depth psychological program. So focusing on the work of Carl Jung was kind of what brought me there. So I was obsessed with Carl Jung since I was 16. I read his books, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, which I was like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I feel this so deeply. And I really know there's some real deep kernels of truth here. So I started reading a whole bunch of Jungian psychology. And so that's what had me find Pacifica Graduate Institute. And then at Pacifica is when I had my out-of-body experience through. I had these two professors, Stan Groff, who's the head of transpersonal psychology. So he's like a powerhouse of consciousness. And he did a class with Rick Tarnas, one of his best friends, who's an incredible scholar and mystic. And so I think being around their energy set up the energetic kind of way for my out-of-body experience. And then it was really like, I think for me, I just like teaching and helping and healing. So this is so useful. How do I teach this and explain this? So it's kind of like a book was just inevitable as part of that. And I tried to do YouTube videos or whatever, just all the different ways to explain. But I was doing therapy after my out-of-body experience, and I was being trained one way, more of a classic psychotherapy, and then I was getting information from my soul that was like psychic information about what was going on with them. And then I was like, how do I sit with this?
Yeah.
And there's rules. There's a lot of ethics and rules around what it is to be a psychotherapist. And where I was being brought was outside of some of those rules. So I had to really confront this was not traditional psychotherapy. I was being led. And I've maintained my license, my credential, just because I worked so hard to get it.
Yeah.
But the work I do now is outside the scope of traditional psychotherapy. And I say it's more like intuitive in nature. And it's teaching people to connect and talk to their souls. And so what I found is when I started to say the things I was getting, people would be like, wow, how do you know that? I haven't told anyone that. And that feels really good that you're saying it, because I thought it was just a dumb idea in me. And so then I realized how that was healing for people. And so then I was like, I need to get out of my own way and have courage to like commit to doing this. Because it was scary for me to go from this whole lots of money and years invested in becoming a psychotherapist to going, I'm just going to step outside that box and do this other thing.
Yeah.
That I don't know where it's going to lead or what it is. So.
And how long? So I'm remembering, not only the retreats we've done, but I remember when I booked my soul session with you, and we did that virtually because you were back on Bainbridge Island, and it was after the first retreat we did. I mean, that was just one session that was again, there's a validation, but there were additional things that came through. It was information, but it almost was like the key that unlocked the inner knowing.
Yeah.
And so when you said, "Do you know you're an empath?" I was like, "I'm a what?"
You are in the dictionary. If you look up empath, it's your photo. Yeah.
And I had no idea what an empath was.
Notice most
Afterwards-
of these books behind me are all about being an empath, because I also had to figure out what that is, because it's hard to not know that about yourself and not know how that's influencing everything.
I literally had no idea, looked it up. You explained it to me, then looked it up, and then afterwards realized this is the part that I have tried to armor up and shut down, and I felt really unstable.
Yeah.
I remember lots from when I was younger and then in teens. Anyway, and it was like, oh, that's what it is.
It's really hard to not be codependent if you're a major empath or a person with HSP, highly sensitive person. And right now, culturally, empaths are kind of getting a bad rap, because I feel like it wasn't, when we were talking about it then, it was kind of popular, but not as popular as it got a little later. And then you have the classic thing of like narcissists saying they're empaths, and there's like and people who aren't empaths not believing they exist, so being cynical and angry about what. But to me, it's not like saying you're better or anything.
No,
it's about it's a sensitivity, and to say it doesn't exist to me is insane.
Oh, especially now that I've understood it, and then it brought in an acceptance, and I never saw it as better.
Why are we so angry about, like, we understand people have different sensory processing issues with taste buds, or if there's a tag on your shirt, why then energetically, emotionally, it's suddenly a taboo idea that some people may have access to certain sensations or information that others don't. It's like the weirdest thing to me that it's become so polarizing.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I think things are just at an interesting time right now.
Yeah, empathy is becoming a bad word. Apparently, it's a weakness.
Okay, so going back to, I'm like,
look, there are so
many directions we could go. But from our session, this is what I love. I actually refer my clients to you, which is no surprise, let alone when I bought this book, I ended up buying 12 copies and gifted it to my friends and family.
You'd be like telling me, like, I gave it out to these people on the photos. It's great. I think you sent me a photo of like a bunch of people holding it.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, I did. I still am, which is why we're here talking about it, because I think it's so integral and it really helps people understand, if you're open, just a different part. And just allowing it to be just that, and it to be the unfolding for everyone's own process.
Yeah.
So you still do one-on-one, whether it's local or people can do through Zoom, virtually.
98% of the time it's Zoom, because most people are not in the state of Washington.
Yeah, you have people around the world.
Yeah, it's all over the place,
which is incredible. And then did I hear before, as we were setting this up, that you were thinking of doing some retreat?
Yeah. So
again,
we started the online mystery school. The first course is soul journaling as a spiritual practice. So, and it's Meet Your Soul on steroids, where it's got 8 hours of interviews with other women talking about their journey and process, and then a bunch of meditations and things like that. So it's meant to be more. A lot of people say they love Meet Your Soul.
Yes.
But then don't always try the soul journal.
No, it's true. And I've experienced that actually from family, friends, and clients. They loved it, but they don't do it.
Face kind of that part of the ego that feels uncomfortable or feels like it's making up, and it's uncomfortable often. So it's kind of the setup of the mystery school is supposed to be a space to hold that discomfort. I know for myself, when I started becoming intuitive, it was a journey. I started getting migraines constantly of like fighting it, like, because those old belief systems come up to die. And so it can be chill for some people. It wasn't for me. And so I did need support and reflection and validation. So the point of the soul journaling course is to like create a container for that. And then we're adding more courses. So intuitive stuff, relationship stuff. And then
in the mystery school.
And then we'll have in-person retreats and online events, but the in-person retreats will be kind of dependent on some of the online courses
Love that.
being done so that people
Yes.
come in with a similar understanding so that we're not reinventing the wheel every time.
Absolutely. They're getting that foundation.
Yeah.
They've done this process and the work.
There's a lot you can do on your own. And there's a lot that it's great to have support. But yeah.
Well, because I continue to practice this alone, but I've also done a lot of work with you. And for me, that's, everybody's experience is different, how they take in information and what they're integrating into their lives through spirituality or their own practices, whatever that is. I'm definitely someone that loves to do in person, or even if it's virtual, to be of witness and just to work one-on-one, because it does help, I think, dismantle some of the areas of my ego that will come in and actually kind of interrupt, because sometimes my ego's, it's different now, but wasn't a huge fan, or maybe it wasn't my ego. Maybe I'm labeling that. See, it gets a little tricky when you get into it. But I think having the practice of it. And so the soul journaling workshop, the online course that you have, I think is so essential, because journaling in general is such a healthy space to be able to communicate whatever is coming through you. If you have anything that's heavy or any dreams, anything that's coming out, journaling is a wonderful place to be able to write down so stuff doesn't just stay within. But the next level of doing the soul journaling, and what I have found from people who love the book and then implement the journaling, is that they still are looking for that guidance. So though I haven't done your soul journaling course, I feel like it's giving this framework. It's giving the foundation, the human element of a practice
It's
to drop
it,
into.
like I said, a discipline so that you can rely on it. If you're having a panic attack, you build the relationship. So it's not like in the hospitals the first time you're talking to your soul, which is what it is usually for most people. It's at a deathbed or when there's an accident that people start saying, wait a second, what's going on here? And it's all kind of on that Einstein's idea of like, you can't solve a problem from the energy level in which it's created. So if we're in beta state and we have a problem and we're venting to our friends, that feels good. And we're, kicking around, we do all those things. But until you raise your brain state and then look down at the problem, you're going to be in the same energy level of the problem. And that's usually what we're doing for relationship problems, for career problems, for anything. And it's hard because when you're stressed and traumatized, it freezes us. And then we go into kind of stuckness. So it is a little bit of a challenge sometimes too. Just remember, pick up the pen or do it on the computer and fake it till you make it. Postulate. Part of you might know the answer and pretend like when you're a little kid playing dolls or whatever, you're going to pretend you're going to that pretend place where, what if I pretended to know the answer right now? If I was talking to love, what love might say to me? And then it just can be shocking. I mean, I do this with my, 11-year-old. I did it even when he was young, like 6, 7. Just the things, when you ask that question to a kid and you say, what do you think if you could hear love might tell you? And suddenly they're a genius and know all this information they didn't know 2 minutes ago when they were crying in a fit. It's shocking to me. Like I will never get tired of how shocking that is, that we have access to this. It's like a feast.
Absolutely.
Very few people choose to really feast on it. It's like you can use that. You can really benefit.
I just don't think
they know it's.
They know.
I don't think they think it's real.
And even bringing it into your experience with your sons and hearing how that has arrived for them, and I'm thinking, if I had that,
I know, right? If I had that,
and nothing against. I mean, my mom, she's already read the book. Her soul's name is Willow. Like, she's all here for it.
Yeah,
but we didn't
know until you know.
I've always been a dreamer and extremely imaginative, and she was always very supportive of that. Didn't tone it down. I'm very grateful for that. But hearing that with Luca, and that you were able to witness and see what came through, and that also gave him permission and to be in that soul dialogue. Did you say he was 6?
Yeah, you'll see later tonight.
Yeah,
hang out. I think you'll feel like what, because it has not been turned down for him. So he's crazy psychic. He's absolutely talented. It's wild. He teaches us all the time. Yeah.
I remember that last time I was here and we went and did our little, what's that
I
place
know.
called where we went?
We
Anyway,
go to well, we went-
Brodell. Am
Oh,
I
yeah,
saying that
Blodell.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Blodell, so yeah.
And gosh, that was, I don't know, almost
Yeah.
5 years ago.
That's crazy.
And just to be in his presence and witness him so authentically connected. I mean, this is what I love about children and my niece and my nephew and all children. I mean, I learned so much just
They
by
can
being in
feel
there.
it all.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Gosh.
it's incredible.
He
And
can feel ego pretty clearly too. He went with friends to some event one day and they had brought some other friends. And it was hilarious because when he came home, he was like, they were really nice, but it was like they didn't know who they were, the parents. And he's like, and they were performing the whole time.
Oh.
And they were like, we're pretending to be happy, but I felt like it was scary robots.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of, and it's like,
It is.
yeah.
And the way he articulates
And to
it.
feel it. And you just feel it. And I think kids can feel it, but to have words and to be able to also be reflected, like, yeah.
And how do you feel about your eldest with his experience?
Well, because he's, 17, it's
Yes.
a different thing.
Yeah.
In terms of developmentally, I've written about him having psychic experiences about candy before. Like he's intuitive. I think right now he's just in that being 17.
Totally. And I've wondered, knowing through my own teenage years, what that would have been like, because that was really when I shut things down because I just felt like I could not operate feelings and emotions and any of that. And I felt like what your son described. I felt that I was a very like robotic, the way even some people would be like, you're shy. And I'm like, yes, but I don't show that to people. So it was just a different operation of how I showed up.
At 17, I was in this, like, I was didn't know myself but I didn't know I didn't know myself. So, and then looking around, I was cheerleader, got good grades, popular at high school, like, so there was nothing to point to as why I felt so weird. So then it was like, I guess this is life, you know what I mean? And so there was like a partying a lot.
Yeah.
Looking for myself in relationships.
No,
being
I did that.
like really codependent in relationships and doing that till I was in my 20s. And then I have Gilbert syndrome, which means my liver doesn't process alcohol. It's genetic. It shows up most people in your 20s or 30s. So then when I was like 22, I had one screwdriver and then couldn't walk, was jaundiced the next day, went to the ER and they're like, you're done drinking. Like, you have Gilbert syndrome. This will happen. So to be told at 22, like, you're never drinking again, there's no like other option. Like this, you're going to be chronically tired for 3 months and turn yellow every time you drink. It's like, what? Because then it was kind of like being an alcoholic in the sense of like, I've got to deal with how I was using the substance to run from myself. So there was no escape valve. So then it was like, yes, I'm going to get into meditation because I'm trapped here.
Yeah.
Stoned, and I don't like drugs because I go there real quick. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm a hardcore sober person. I guess I'm going to get really into meditation and the psychology books I'm reading. And that was, I think, a God setup and a blessing because
absolutely.
I think if I could have kept running, I would have kept running. I don't think I was particularly courageous from an ego standpoint of like choosing my soul. I think it had to be like pummeled down. You will know this part of yourself in this lifetime.
Yeah, when there's no way to numb from it.
Yeah.
From just the recreational drugs or the alcohol, any of that. It's just, like you said, you were forced into it. And what a blessing.
Yeah.
And what a gift.
Yeah.
Now I have to think of what else we should speak to because this is just...
We've covered so much.
I know.
Well, part of me is like tempted to just start like going into salt stuff with you because I feel like we're there, but we can do that once the camera's up.
We can do whatever. If you're a soul, if Sophia is saying that, and Ellie, which of course they're like, we're right here, we're right with you, we're already there.
Yeah, I'm glad so.
I did have, so I asked Ben if he had a question for you.
Yeah.
Because Ben has a lot of questions. And
Bring 'em in.
right away, he said, will she ever write a book about being able to communicate with people on the other side?
Books are crazy to write. Maybe not if you're writing a book about, like, you know, the birds of Washington. But if you're writing a soul book, it is very spiritually intense and emotional. It's such like a birthing process. So what I've learned is I had that book in me. Like, I would love to, you know, it'll probably go well, I have it my outline for an online course. Psychic training stuff is just coming, you know.
Yeah.
I've been dreaming about this mystery school for 10 years. Actually, before I wrote Meet Your Soul, I was like, should I start with courses? And then Sophia was like, no, you're gonna do this. And even with Holy Love, it was actually frustrating because Adam and I knew Holy Love was not going to sell as much as actually other things like a mediumship book, because there's just more of a market. Relationship books generally aren't as high of numbers.
Isn't that interesting?
But Sophia was just like, this is the gift you have to share. This particular, it's like basically an operating manual for in relationship, how to do the soul work and then ego projective stuff. And so it was a real like,
and to do it in relationship, which I think is,
and to write it with Adam, who's like my twin flame together. So, and we learned through our relationship, like a lot of Holy Love. There's stuff in Holy Love I didn't know at the beginning of our relationship at Meet Your Soul, because we were like new together then. So, yeah, it's like my books work me too. So then it's like, okay, what energy do I want to sit in for 2 years? And again, it almost doesn't even matter how I feel about it, because it just is going to be if it's happening or not. But that topic is very important to me. And it's also how I know my soul, because I speak to spirits and entities all the time. So it's a psychic skill.
Yeah.
And it's useful. And I think we all have access to it. You know, the word psychic really freaks people out, but it's intuition. They're the same thing. We're all intuition. And if you sit quiet long enough, you can probably think of some time in your life, if you're listening, that you were intuitive, that you knew something, you didn't know how you were going to know it, and you were right about it. And it wasn't just a coincidence. That's the root of all of this. And it's something that we can either do unconsciously, you know, or it's a skill you can build and focus on. And so most people haven't really tried for more than 10 minutes to discover what they can do around it.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Our society is just, it's post-Cartesian, that we're all trained after the Industrial Revolution, this idea of like, if you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. And it's also archaic or primitive. If you believe in anything around that, then it means you're not smart or you're not analytical. And there's a lot of patriarchal, actually kind of colonizer energy on that, because it's like, what about all the shamans around the world in different places? Like, we're just devaluing other ways of knowing as delusional, idiotic. And it's like, that's wild assumptions to make on, you know, the Aboriginals in the Dreamtime, or, you know, just like all these different cultures who are still connected to other ways of knowing.
Do you feel that, I have an idea of the answer to this, but for anyone, when you meet your soul and you build that relationship and communication, that it's more of a natural unfolding of your intuition becoming stronger and your psychic abilities?
I think your soul is the voice of your intuition. So
me too.
When you build your relationship with your soul, you do become more psychic.
Yeah.
There's a theorist, Ken Wilber, who talks about there's two things you can never talk about publicly without people just immediately putting you in the category of delusional. And it's being psychic and aliens. Because
that would totally make sense.
I kind of feel like it's like a Matrix thing that immediately people are just like, crazy person, which I can't judge, because I used to think that too about people. I remember being in college, you hear a girl talk about angels, and I was like, woohoo! You know, it's like, and then it's scary. I actually remember calling my dad because somebody was talking about some kind of like alien stuff and being like, oh my God, and is this real? And what does that mean? And like, I've had my own healing experiences. I don't talk about it a lot.
You want to talk about it?
I mean, and the reality is, I think the next 2 to 3 to 5 years, like it will be. I mean, we've already had stuff that's been like New York Times being like, yeah, there's shit happening that, and then everybody just, it's weird how it's compartmentalized. Like we can't almost deal. It's like, I think a brain comprehension issue, because it's like, what does that mean about our safety, our religion, our understanding of reality?
It's almost so unknown that if it opens one door, there's too many other doors that are going to open. So let's just shut it down.
And the reality is, like, this has been going on forever. Like, if they wanted to do stuff, they could. So it's like, I don't think we need to be fearful.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's kind of like the metaphor I use sometimes is like, if you're a fish in a fish tank and you're living your whole life in a fish tank, like, I feel comfortable. It's cool in this fish tank. And let's say you go up to the edge of the fish tank and you see the fish tank is placed inside the ocean. And then there's like creatures outside and you're still in the tank. There's like a separation between you and that jellyfish out there. But like that jellyfish is existing in a different dimension and you're not delusional. I actually think it's really pompous to assume, because what we usually do, what most people do is like, that's sweet. You think that doesn't exist. How offensive is that to the jellyfish? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so like, just like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, good luck, bully. We'll see how that works for you in your life review or when you're leaving your body. You know what I mean? But I also think we're doing the best we can with what we know.
Yeah.
And I think we're all just taught from, what's around us and what's shown to us.
What about, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, with a particular faith or religion can feel...
There's lots of this question.
I know. And I'm like, do we even...
No.
Permission for soul if you have a strong religious belief, if that maybe feels not true or maybe not acceptable or not allowed. You know what I mean? I'm going with this.
I work with people of all different religions. I'm not anti-religion, but also as you get to know your soul and you become more actually connected and gnostically through your own experience, you sometimes have your own experiences that are going to be outside the understanding of your religion and the understanding of your family system and the understanding of your culture. So, and to me, if like the truth shall set us free, like I think any kind of religion, if it's not strong enough to hold, like being tested by experience, then it's a weak setup. So, a lot of my clients are Hindu. A lot of my clients are Catholic, which is shocking, you'd think. But I think those, and Mormon, surprisingly. But really? I think a lot of people from different, and there's a lot of like post-evangelical people who come to me for healing, for kind of like unraveling belief systems after kind of brainwashing experiences from more fundamentalist, literal experiences religiously. And so I think it's so healing to meet your soul, because a lot of times people throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of, well, I was traumatized by this religious system of God, so now everything must not exist. Because and sometimes you do need to do that for a while. You have to kind of go extreme atheist, like, to feel, functional. Again, if you've been like in a cult or brainwashing, which I work with people who are coming out of some pretty intense situations. I was raised Unitarian, which some people say isn't even a religion. It's basically like, believe what you want as long as it's not hurting people. And then they do a lot of great, amazing. They're open to like trans and gay people. I was just thinking the other day, I always felt the wound was I was so inherently spiritually connected. There wasn't room for some of my spirituality because they are so actually like usually rational and democratic and fair and just great people, just a sense of justice. And but I wasn't traumatized. So I'm thankful to that. I was telling my mom, and also I think it's amazing, she's in her 80s and she's super open to and empathetic to different walks of life and races and people. She could be a boomer Karen energy, but she's not. And I think because of her own individual seeking and also support through the Unitarian community. So I'm really grateful to them as a community for that. So that's like a whole long spiel. But basically, yeah, I think you don't have to worry about losing your religion because there's so much beauty, I think, in just like Catholicism has like a lot of beauty with their symbolism and ritual. There's a lot of, for me, it's the mystics. So there's like a lot of beautiful like mystic Catholics or, St. Teresa or the Gnostic Gospels. It's like even talking about Jesus. I, wasn't raised fundamentalist literally or anything, but Jesus is one of my main, when I'm calling it, if I'm scared in a situation, it's Jesus and Magdalene. So yeah, I think it's okay to investigate.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that in because I think it does help. It opens us up a little bit more of a permission slip to be able to
and I believe in prayer and I believe in miracles and I'm like a person of faith. Like it's like my whole world. Faith's even a weird word because it's not even. It's kind of like Carl Jung when he was near the end of his life. He's like, well, how do you believe in God? And he's like, I know God. Like it's the knowing. Just it's like, do I believe in Stacy? Like what does that mean?
Yeah,
like I live it.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, is there anything that Sophia would like to share?
Oh my gosh. Let's go in together.
Okay.
I love it. We'll do a little meditation here. I feel like this is waiting to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just checking in with yourself. Yeah, kind of where you're at. We'll say for the people listening here, the first thing I like to do is just to scan where am I at right now. So just noticing where I feel tension, anxiety, the tone of my thoughts. And then it's a lot of this work is through the power of intention. So setting the intention of I want to feel my soul. I want to experience that. And immediately you start to feel a shift, an entering point. And it can be slow and subtle, but and I always tell people more is happening energetically at that moment than you realize. It's just that desire to do it starts that hooking up that energetic process. And then let's just take a couple deep breaths. And the first question I'll ask myself and you ask yourself is, hang on. What's true for you right now? And then you can ask your soul, what does she want to tell you right now or give to you in this moment? And is there anything she wants you to know for today that would just be useful or helpful? What'd you get? How was it? I was feeling your soul coming in. How was that?
Just coming back home. It feels like we're riding a bike and working together. And I'm just like, so Ellie just said, you're right where you're supposed to be. And this is, I'm not speaking from her right now, but something that I've been desiring deeply for the last couple of years for us to sit down. And she was honoring both of us for carving out the time and just acknowledging that we arrived here
Yeah.
together.
What a journey.
What a full journey.
Well, you are beautiful and amazing, and it's been an honor to witness your process. Just hearing about the beginning of your journey too, like with therapy and the somatic pieces, I was just noticing how your story is just really about being led and, you know, shepherded, even when you might not have realized how much that was happening, and it feels really beautiful. I love how much you trust it. You know, it's really beautiful. My soul was telling me, she's like, today it's kind of about playing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, she's like really taking that energy of like little kid kind of play. And then she was also saying somatic stuff, so being aware. It's been kind of a crazy 2 weeks. We've had like all this like renovation stuff happening, so it just feels good to be like grounded in my nervous system and being with you. I'm so glad you're here. It's so amazing you took the ferry ride to Narnia.
Such an honor, such a gift. And thank you for sharing your words, Sophia's words, your knowledge, your wisdom, your guidance with anyone and everyone who will be tuning into this, because it is such an opportunity. I feel it's an invitation. And if this conversation's landing with you, as it does with us, and being able to sit and not only have the honest conversation and the deep conversation and soulful, but the play aspect. I love it. Sophia's like, it's about play. I had that vision of us in the forest that was coming through. And yeah, that was presenting. So this is an invitation for connecting with soul, for play, for curiosity, for intuition, tapping into all these other aspects. Elisa could not be more of the most aligned and integral guide.
Thank you.
So I will link up your website and your
And
YouTube and all the other information that's there. And this is just...
And I would say for anyone listening, just try it. Have a low bar. Don't worry about if it's right or not. Play with it and try it a couple times and just observe what comes through and how you feel afterward. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
you.